皆さん、英語のソータです。
And I'm Reilly.
Hey Riley, this topic is a little sensitive but kind of interesting to me. Oh,
Sure.
it's not
okay.
sensitive?
Well, we'll see, I guess.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to talk about it because, I came up with this topic in a funny way, in an interesting way last night. So, yeah, I'm really excited anyways. You are too?
I don't know.
I'm
never really excited to talk about money, but yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, because I'm excited because this topic will be interesting for people and it will be worth listening because oh yeah, let's see anyways.
Okay.
はい、皆さん、今回のトピック、個人的にすごく、なんか面白いエピソードが作れそうっていう予感をしているという意味で、こう、エキサイティッドしてるんですけれども、すごい昨日の夜、面白い視点でこのトピックについてちょっと話したいって僕は思いつきまして、そこも後でシェアしますが、で、ライリーに、ね、お金のことに、エキサイティッドしてるって聞いたら、いや、お金のことについてエキサイティッド、話すのをエキサイティッドするっていうのは、みたいに言ってたから、確かにそうだよなと思って、自分も言っておきながら、でも僕が言ってるのは、いいエピソードになりそうだな、面白そうだなと思って、エキサイティッドしてるので、ちょっと皆さんもエキサイトしながら聞いてください。Okay, are you ready, Riley?
Yep.
そうだと。
Reillyの台本なし英会話レッスン。
ン。
Episode 266.
All right, what is the topic for episode 266, Riley?
It is financial values.
はい、今回のお題はお金の価値観です。financial っていうのはお金のっていう。で、values は価値観。で、financial problem とか financial reason とか、結構 financial っていうのは使える言葉なので、タイピングをしておいてもらいましょう。で、台本なし英会話レッスンのインスタグラムに、リストアップして載せておきます。So first of all, yeah, while you are typing,
I'm
let me...
done.
Oh, you're done. Okay,
I'm
thank
fast.
you. I know. Yes, you're funny today.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sleepy today, so I'm gonna.
Okay. Yes. First of all, let me share with you guys on, why I decided to talk about this. And as I said at the beginning, I kind of came up with this topic in a funny way or in an interesting way. So last night, Riley texted me saying, "What's the topic for this week?" And I just said, "Oh, sorry, I haven't decided it yet. So when a great idea has come to my mind, I'll let you know." I said that, right?
Yeah.
In 10 minutes or so, I suddenly came up with this topic while I was having a conversation with my friend who wants to be rich. We were having dinner together. And then, when I replied to your message, I was having dinner. And then I just saw him off to the station. And then we were walking on the street. And then he suddenly said, and he was like, "Oh, I want to save money and I need more money." And I was like, "What's that for?" He said, "I need to have room in my mind." And then, oh, I really understand. So to some extent, we need money. Then I think, money can money can relieve or money can solve problems sometimes. I understand what you meant, I said.
Yeah.
To agree with what he said. But I added, I don't want to be rich or I don't need a lot of money. Don't you think so? Then he said, "No, I want to be rich. And
Right.
I want to earn more money." And a great idea came to my mind. And I texted you saying, "Let's talk about it." Do you remember that moment?
Yeah.
Was it weird when you got the message?
No, it's not weird. It's a funny thing to talk about. I mean, money, because yeah, it's something everybody thinks about. It's not something people necessarily talk about a lot. I mean, talk about it as in like, oh, I don't have any money this month or whatever, but it's kind of rare for people to talk about their actual values
う
about
ん。
money,
う
So
ん。
it's a funny topic, I think, because it's something everybody thinks about, but maybe doesn't usually talk about in so much detail.
You're right. And also, I've seen, a lot of times people thinking about money or, having sometimes problems with that, some financial problems or something. So, yeah, as you mentioned, we don't really talk about it every day, but all the time, I think we have to think about it. For example, at work or for our future. I think money is something always next to us. And I thought it would be really interesting. So let's talk about it. Then, first of all, the reason why I decided to talk about this and the, strong word to me was, oh, I want to be rich, he said. So how about you? Like, first of all, do you want to be rich, to be
Mm,
honest?
not at all.
Mm. Interesting. Why is
Yeah.
that?
Um, so you said earlier like you think that money can solve some problems. I think money also
Mm.
causes problems.
Mm.
Um, I don't know, maybe this is kind of funny, but like, you know, once you have money, you start to worry about losing your money, right?
Mm.
So, someone like uh very rich people, like people who work on Wall Street in the US or something like that, they will, have panic attacks. They'll get very worried about losing
Mm.
$1 million, which is a
Mm.
lot of money, but they have $100 million.
Mm.
So losing $1 million if you have 100 million is not a big deal,
Mm.
right? Maybe that's not a good way of explaining it, but like it, for me, if I have, you know, if I had $1 million, I'd be super happy,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
But for them, $1 million is not a lot, but at the same time, they stress about losing it,
Mm.
if that makes sense. I'm
Yeah,
kind of
like
rambling.
oh yeah, I really understand. Like people are kind of greedy. So, once they get to the point where they have money, at the same time they start to get scared of losing money and then having troubles. So, I think your point is people never get satisfied or fulfilled.
Yeah, basically. I
Mm.
mean, like if you think about it, when you were in college or whatever, probably having a few $1,000s in your bank account was like a lot of money and you were really happy,
Mm. Mm.
right?
Mm.
And then there are rich people who, if that happened to them, if they ended up with a few $1,000s in their bank account, they would be extremely sad. And it's like,
Mm.
obviously there's differences in like how they live and stuff like that, but it's a funny, not funny maybe, but it's an interesting contrast to be like, oh, when I was in college, this was a lot of money to me, but now this is, a terrible amount of money, you know?
Mm. So the definition of happiness changes being influenced by the amount of money.
Yeah, I think so.
I really understand that. 確かにな、ちょっと一回訳したいなと思うんですけど、ここでね、honestly, if you say like, oh, I want to be rich, it'll be a good contrast between me and you, and it'll be really interesting in another way. But, I'll add my opinions later and I'll say the same thing. So for the content, perhaps it should be something people can predict what's going to happen, expect what's going to
Sure.
happen. But yeah, I totally agree with you. そう、ここでね、僕たち結構価値観が似てる、根底が似てるところがあるので、ここで相反する意見が出てきたら、すごい番組としては、金持ちになりたい誰か VS 別にそこまで求めてない誰かみたいな感じでね、コントラストが面白いんだろうなと思うんですけど、後で僕がちょっと同じようなことになっちゃう、言うこと同じになっちゃうかもですけど、すごいわかるなと思って今聞いてました。まあ、ライリーは、リッチになりたいですかっていうところに対して、もう全然そこは興味ないと。で、その理由としては、人は、お金を手にすると、お金を失い始めるっていうところから始まったと思うんですけど、まあ、一応解釈としては、 人って、greedy っていう言葉も出てましたし、fulfilled、こう満たされるっていう、ここもスペリングしておいてもらおうかなと思うんですけど、もう人の欲ってもう底なしじゃないですか。で、あれも欲しい、これも欲しい、あれも欲しいってなっちゃう人だったり、お金持ちになりたいと思う人って、うん、いっぱいお金あるはずなのに、ちょっと減ったら、つまり生活の基準がもう上がっちゃってるので、ちょっとの変化にもう耐えれなくなる。で、お金がなくなってるような感覚になるっていう、そこから、多分僕が捉えたのは、こう、幸せの定義っていうのが、すごいお金に影響されて変わっていっちゃうっていうところなんだろうな、言いたいことはと感じました。で、例えば大学生の時のお話がありましたけど、ちょっとの、口座にちょっとのお金、3万が入ってるだけで、学生からしたらハッピーじゃないですか。でも、大人になって、あるいはお金持ちな人からしたら3万ってハッピーじゃないわけですよね。もうそのなんかこう、ハッピーと感じられないズレをお金持ちになることによってどんどん大きくしてしまうのが嫌だっていうところが、ライリーの視点、だったのかなと思います。Yeah, and can you ask me the same question?
All right. Do you want to be rich?
Not at all. Like,
Yeah, right.
yeah, as you said. Um, but, I just want to support and I just want to add some opinions for people who think money is also important, like my friend. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, we need some amount of money, not a
Of
lot of
course. Yeah,
money.
yeah,
Yeah, some
yeah.
amount of money. And I think the more we have, maybe the more we can feel secure, I guess. And
Sure,
yeah,
yeah.
while having a conversation with him last night, maybe his point was that he is actually not earning a lot of money or maybe less than the standard amount. So
Okay.
he
Me too.
okay. Oh, okay. He's kind of, worried about the future. And yeah, so I said, money can solve the problem, so I can understand your feelings. The reason why I said because I can, agree to some extent, and I just wanted to ensure what he was saying was right. So yeah, let me add that point at first, but I don't need to be rich because I am happy right now. And
Right.
even without money, you know, it's so hard to, explain what I'm thinking about actually unconsciously. But why do I, mm, mm, why is that? Uh,
Well, look, can I
sure,
play
sure.
devil's advocate a little bit here?
Mm, mm, mm,
So, right now I live with my girlfriend, I live with Yuki, and we are, you know, in our 20s and we both have a job and we have enough money to pay rent, we have enough money to save a little bit of money and, to go out to restaurants and whatever on the weekend. Um, so that's enough for us right now.
mm, mm.
But if I was smart, I would maybe be saving more money because maybe we'll have a kid in the future and whatever. And that is when being rich really matters, I think. Not rich necessarily, but having enough money, as we've been saying, is like once you have a kid, once you have a family, enough money is a much bigger target. Right
Mm,
now, for me and Yuki, enough money is whatever, something less than what we have, honestly. What we have enough money and more right now. But if we had a kid, if we had to think about sending them to school, buying clothes, buying more, buying food, buying toys, and then eventually college. Oh, what if our kid wants to spend summers in America? Then we need to save money to send our kid on a plane to America every summer to like hang out with my parents or Yuki's parents or something like that. Then money becomes a much more serious thing.
mm,
But for now, with me and Yuki, I mean, we live in a house. we could live in a worse house. We used to, right? We used to live in a one bedroom apartment together. Um, and that's not a bad thing, but if we had a kid, probably we don't want to live in a one bedroom apartment anymore.
But I think I know um your values or the way of thinking. So even if you get a family, maybe you don't think you want a lot of money, right? As you said, you want enough, or you need some amount of money, but you know, I think you're not greedy, so you won't think, even with a family, you won't think, oh, I want a lot of money, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like
Yeah, sorry. But people sometimes, people say even if they're not married, even if they're single, it
yeah.
doesn't matter. There are some people who say, I want a lot of money. For example, in the case of the family case, in the case of family, they, for example, want expensive toys or a lot of toys for kids, and they want have more trips, and they want to go overseas, not domestic trips. Like this, people's greed are different. So even with a family, even after you have a family, I don't think
Yeah.
you will say, you want a lot of money.
Well, look, I mean, yeah, I think you're probably right. I mean, I'm not gonna change who I am as a person after I have a kid, I think. I don't know, it's hard to say, but I grew up pretty comfortable, right? My family didn't have a lot of money. We weren't rich, but my both of my parents worked. My parents had pretty good jobs and we always had enough, right? Like we would probably call us middle class in America.
Mm.
So we had a house, we had like an extra bedroom in our house, right? Which is a lot. For a lot of people, that's not the case, right? So we had I think four bedrooms in our house growing up. So there was one for me, one for my sister, one for my parents, and we had an extra one for guests if family came over or something.
Mm. Mm.
Sorry. Um, and that is kind of common in America
Mm.
for the middle class, right? We weren't rich. Like we rich people have an extra house for
Mm.
guests or whatever, right? Or they have several extra rooms, or when they go on vacation, they go to Europe or whatever. When
Mm.
we went on vacation, yeah, we went to like Disney World or something, which is expensive. It's, but that's kind of, it's kind of middle of the road. So what I'm trying to say is like for us, that was normal. There's a lot of people who, if they only went on vacation in Disney World, if they only had one extra bedroom, that's not enough. And there's a lot of people on the other end who, what you didn't have to share a room with your sister. Like, you know, some people only have one bedroom or two bedrooms. So the kids share a room and the parents share a room. And so what's enough for different people is very different.
Mm. Yeah, and yeah, while listening to your explanation and you, like I was also thinking about the reason why I said I don't need to be rich. And simply, I'm not really interested in getting a lot of money, simply. And for example, about this podcast or about everything about my job, if I can set up as I earn money more, I can do it. But simply, I'm not really interested in that. So I don't want to do, PR stuff, promotions, things,
Mm.
and, for example, lessons as well. Like if I make one video and then, let a lot of people watch, subscribe to it, I can, or we can earn more money, but simply I'm not really interested in that. So while I was trying to explain why I said that, it was so hard to explain what's in my mind. But that's the answer. Simply, I'm not really interested in that, like getting a lot
Sh-
of money.
Sure.
But um, another interesting observation
Sorry.
is, yeah. 一回ちょっとまあ訳しましょうかね. Another,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah,
probably good. Yeah.
yeah, another interesting observation is, how we raised or how we grew up. And in your
Yeah,
case, you were not really poor, right?
not
So,
poor.
I thought, that kind of growing environment could influence how we think, perhaps.
Of course. Yeah,
Yeah,
of
yeah.
course.
So, yeah, I'll talk about it later, but let me translate it first. 一回ちょっと訳したいなと思うんですけど、そうなんか自分もお金持ちになりたいですかって聞かれると、本当になんかそこに興味がなくて、最初言葉にしようとすると、なんでそのもっとお金が欲しい、もっとお金が欲しいって僕はならないんだろうっていうのが言葉にできなかったんですよね。で、一回ライリーの説明が挟まったと思うんですけど、それを聞きながら僕は思ったのは、僕、なんか単純にお金にそんな興味がない。それがいいこと悪いこととか置いといて、もっとなんかお金が欲しい、もっと欲しいってならない。それが昨日友達と会話をしてた時も、友達はもっと欲しい、もっとお金持ちになりたいって言ってる一方で、僕がそんなでも、まあ、確かにお金があると心の余裕はあるよ、できるのは確かにわかるね。でもそんな別にお金めっちゃ欲しいとはならんもんなって言ったら、友達が、いや、自分はお金持ちになりたいって聞いたときに、あ、ここですごい価値観が違ったなと思って、これをトピックにするとすごい面白いなと思って今日話してるんですよね。で、なんでだろうって今思ったら単純に興味がそんなないなって思うのと、今、ある程度最低限のお金があって、この生活が幸せっていう。で、ライリーの言ってくれてたところもそこで、今で満足してる。でもここに子供ができてきたりするとまた別だと思うんだけどっていうお話があって、で、僕がもう一個足してたのが、すごい思うのが、ライリーは仮に子供ができたとしても、家族ができたとしても、ネイトとかもそうだったと思うんですけど、そんなになんかなんでしょうね。もっともっともっともっとっていうタイプじゃないので、子供がいるからもっとお金が欲しいとかってそんなならない感じがするなっていうお話をしてたんですよね。で、なんかそこってやっぱり人の欲とか価値観、何で幸せと感じるか、何で満足するかっていうところで変わるんだろうねっていうところで今行き着いてたんですけど、例えば子供ができると僕もね、家族大好きになるタイプなので、もっとこれをしてあげたい、あれをしてあげたいって多分思うと思うんですけど、例えばそのおもちゃを買ってあげたいでも、もう高いおもちゃ、もう買いや、欲しいって言うたびに買ってあげたい。もう何々してあげたい。で、旅行も国内じゃなくて海外に行きたいとかっていう欲が大きい人と、まあ、年に1回の誕生日のこのプレゼントでそれでやっぱ満足できる人。で、旅行とか、あるいは食べてるものとか、身につけてるものもそうですけど、なんか僕は、あるいはライリーもそうだと思うんですけど、なんか仮に守るべき存在ができても、もっともっとってなんかならないんじゃないかなっていうお話をしてたんですよね。で、ライリーが言ってたのが、自分がその生まれ育った環境として、まあ、ミドルクラスで、家もまああって、一人一人の部屋があって、来客用のお部屋もあって、で、それで満足して、それでいいと思って生きてきたから、そんなにもっともっと欲しいって思わないっていうお話だったんですよね、ここまでの流れが。それでやっぱ思ったのが、視点を変えるとね、お金で苦労をした時って、すごいお金の大切さって気づくと思うんですよね。つまり、すごい貧困な、状況で育った場合って、お金、お金、お金、お金ってなっちゃう場合もあると思うんですよね。じゃないと、聞いてる方が、いや、だって、あなたたちどうせそんな苦労して、育ってきてないでしょ。お金に困ったことないでしょ。だからそう言えるんでしょっていう意見も出るだろうなと思ったんですよね。で、僕、今まであんまり、自分のそういう生い立ちみたいなところのお金のお話ってしなかったと思うんですけど、僕も父親が亡くなってから、すごいちょっと大変な時期があったんですよね。つまり言いたいことが、お金で苦労した時期もあります、家族が。でも僕はお金持ちになりたい、もっとお金が欲しい欲しいってならなかったんですよね。なんかそこのお話もちょっと今回できたらなと思ってこのお話もしてたんですけど、ちょっと英語に変えますね。So, while listening to our conversation, objectively, I started to wonder if there could be someone who thinks that, oh, you haven't experienced, hard times, financially hard times, For example,
Interesting. Yeah, of course.
yeah,
Yeah.
Riley, you had kind of, big house and for guests as well, rooms for guests as well. And
Right.
then, yeah, you were not really suffering from those financial things. That's why you could say, oh, I don't need money. I'm satisfied or I'm happy. I just started to wonder um about that. Like there will be such a person who says that. So
Yeah.
what do you think? Oh yeah,
Well,
you want to add?
it's pretty true. I mean, honestly, I've never really had any extremely hard financial times.
Mm,
There's an expression. I don't know if it's a real expression or if just my coworker says it a lot, but the worst thing that's ever happened to you is the worst thing that's ever happened to you.
mm,
Um, so to explain that, like we usually talk about it in regards to kids because you'll have these like 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds that we teach at work that will cry when they don't get the snack that they want,
mm,
right? And when you're an adult, it's like it's ridiculous to cry about that kind of thing.
mm,
But when you're 3 or 4, that's one of the worst things that's ever happened to you.
mm,
So it makes you cry, right? Like when you're an adult, you've lived a long life, but if the worst thing that's ever happened to you happens, you will cry, of course, right? Like, God forbid somebody dies in your family or, a really bad breakup or something like that. Yeah, you'll cry. So when that comes to money, the kind of a bad situation for money changes depending on how much money you have.
mm,
Does that make sense, right? Like I was talking about rich people earlier, and for them losing $1 million is like really bad, but they still have many $1 million. So if it were me, I wouldn't care. I'd love to have $1 million.
mm.
But for them, it's a sad thing, right?
Yeah, losing money. Mm,
Yeah.
mm,
Am
mm.
I explaining myself?
Yeah, so the memory we had, in the early stage kind of lingers forever.
Um, it's not exactly what I'm getting at, but that I think that's kind of true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Uh, but the worst thing, oh yeah, but the worst thing that same thing will happen again. That's what you meant.
No, I mean the amount that some situation affects you, like emotionally,
Mm,
depends on your experience,
mm-hmm.
right? So like, actually, I'll bring up a coworker again, the same one that says the worst thing that's ever happened to you, blah blah blah. He he is a little bit older than me, and he has been married, but he got divorced, and he had a kid with that woman, and now, he sees that kid like on the weekends or something. Um, But we have friends who are younger than me, like just out of college, 23 or 24 or whatever, and they'll complain about things that happen in their lives, right? Like work being hard or something like that. And my friend who is divorced will say like he he doesn't get mad exactly, but like after when we talk later, him and I, just the two of us, he'll say like I don't know what they're complaining about. Their lives are easy. They've, you know, they haven't had these hard times
Mm-hmm.
because his experience, like getting divorced, having to not see your kid all the time, that's really hard. Having to work a couple extra hours at work or whatever my other friends are talking about, it's hard for them, but it's not hard compared to getting divorced. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. So, oh, can you say the sentence again? The worst thing that ever happened to you?
Yeah. The worst thing that's ever happened to you is the worst thing that's ever happened to you.
Uh-huh. So, yeah, for that person, that's the worst thing. That's the summary.
Yeah.
うんう
Yeah.
んうん。ってことよね。うんうん。そう、ちょっと一回これを訳したいなと思うんですけど、多分最初に僕が理解した形で合ってると思うんですけど、こう人が人生で経験した一番のその嫌なことっていうのは、一生まあ嫌なことであるっていう。で、多分これはいろんな捉え方があると思うんですけど、僕が最初に捉えたのは、一番最初にした思い出っていうのが、やっぱりずっと頭に残る、linger って言ってたのは、こうずっと心に残っちゃうっていう。で、ライリーが、それもあるんだけど、また別の話っていうふうに足してくれてたんですけど、 うーん、例えば、仕事めちゃくちゃ働いてしんどかったっていう人にとってはそれがずっとしんどい。で、離婚してしんどかった、子供と会えないっていう人にとってはそれがずっとしんどい。その両者がお互い話したときに、いいな、その悩みで、いいな、その悩みでって、お互いがこう、納得し合えないほど、人それぞれ大変だったことっていうのは、一生それが大変だったことっていう、あの、つまり人のそのしんどさの定義ですよね。今回お金の話なので、お金で苦労したってなった時ってずっとやっぱそのしんどい思いが残るがゆえに、その後の影響、行動にも影響が出てくるっていうところの多分お話につながるんだと思うんですけど、そう、うーん、こリスナーさんの中で、僕もやっぱ父親が亡くなったり、あとは父親が亡くなるもう前ぐらいから、ちょっとこう金銭的に大変な状態はもう始まってたので、すごいこう、節約しながらの生活っていうのは、経験したことがあるんですよね。でも、なんか僕が育った環境って、自分の母親で一つすごく尊敬しているところっていうのは、母親がお金、お金、お金、お金ってならなかった人なんですよね。というのも、すごいぶっちゃけた話をすると、父親が亡くなった後、父親が持ってたお家とか、その不動産があったんですよね。で、そういうのを、もう、母親もそんな意見をはっきり言うタイプじゃないので、親戚の人たちが、よくあるやつですよ、ドラマで。親戚の人たちが来て、全部持ってかれて、で、本来であれば自分たちがそれでもうお金がなくなってるので、それで生活していく感じだったんですけど、それも全部取られて、言ったら一文無しになったんですよね。で、子供心に親に、なんでそういう時に、言い返さないの、なんで権利を主張しないの、自分たちが大変な目をするのにって、すごく子供心に思っていて、自分の親のちょっと嫌なところっていうのは僕、そういうところでもあるんですけど、自分の意見をちゃんと言わないっていう、なんで喧嘩してでも、ちゃんと自分のこと主張しないのっていうのが、親に対して昔から変えてほしいなって思ってたところだったんですね。でもその一方で母親がよく言っていたのは、そうやって心が貧しくなりたくないっていつも言ってたんですよね。お金で揉めるのが嫌っていう親戚同士でせっかく仲良くやってたのに、これも欲しい、あれも欲しいって人が欲を出すことで関係性って崩れたり、あとは私自身、人から後ろ指をさせれるような人生を送りたくないっていうのが母親の口癖で、言ったら人のもん取ったり、もうあの人って貪欲よねって陰で言われるような人生は私は歩みたくないから、正々堂々と生きるためにも、欲しいならもうどうぞ。で、もう、必要なものは自分の貯金とか自分でやっていくしって言って、すごいなんか子供心に、すごい親はそういう人だったんですよね。で、つまり言いたいことが、いや、どうせそういう、苦労した経験、お金で苦労した経験ないからそう言えるんでしょっていう人がもしいるのであれば、僕もお金とかで大変な経験はあったんですけど、でも今ももっとお金欲しい、もっとお金欲しいってなってないんですよね。っていうのは、さっきライリーが言ってたような、あるいは僕も思うような、心の感じ方、自分が何に満足して、うーん、何を良しとするかですよね。お金をいっぱい欲しい、そうしてでも幸せになりたいって思う人と、ちょっとのものでも幸せを感じられる人、僕はなんかこれは心の豊かさだと思うんですけど、なんかそこで一個違いは出てくるのかなって思って、今ちょっとこのお話を足しました。で、これをちょっと英語にしてライリーに足したいんですけど、So, I need to translate it. I'll talk about it in English. Like as I said, some people might say, "Oh, you haven't experienced financial hard times before. That's why you can say like that." But actually, I have that experience when I was in high school because, as you guys know, or as Riley knows, I lost my dad when I was 14, 15. And then, yeah, after that, of course, I was having financial hard time as well. Um, and, you know, Riley said the worst thing that ever happened to us will be blah blah blah. And then if that logic is right, I also have that kind of mind or way of thinking. For example, when I was younger, I was having a little hard time. So now, even now, looking back, it was a hard time. So, for example, I need to keep earning a lot of money and I don't want to lose money. Maybe, a lot of people think like that. But in my case, that didn't happen to me, honestly.
Mm,
Yeah. And one of the reasons would be my mom's influence. And that's why
uh-huh.
I asked you, do you think it can be influenced by how we raised or how we grew up? And
Sure.
yeah, after losing my dad, like it's like a drama thing. There was a house or there were some, financial things, but a lot of cousins or a lot of relatives, start to say, "Oh, that's ours and that's
Right,
our right."
right, right. Yeah.
Does that happen in the States as well?
Yeah, when
Real quick.
I
Yeah.
have a quick story. When my grandma died, my dad's mom,
Oh.
uh we went to the funeral and she had like a will. Will
うん。
is like the thing that says,
う
"Oh,
ん。
this
一
goes
緒に
to
ね。
this
うん。
person, this goes to that person."
うん。
And then she had some things that were not part of the will, like just some little pieces of like jewelry or whatever, like not expensive stuff, but like rings, earrings, stuff like that. And they told us kind of like the kids basically that we were allowed to look through that box and take what we wanted.
うん。
Um, and so I took out one ring and I was like, oh, maybe my mom would like this.
うん。
Because she wasn't there and it was just my dad. And my aunt said, actually, at that time, my parents had been separated. They were going to
う
get
ん。
divorced soon.
うん。
Um, so my dad's sister, my aunt, who didn't really like my mom because I guess because they were getting divorced.
うん。うん。
She said, "You know what? No, I want that ring." And I
う
said,
ん。
"Okay, yeah, like you can have it." Or I don't know if I really said that I was a kid, but basically she took it from me.
うん。う
And
ん。
yeah, so a similar kind of thing where like a family
い
member
や
died
ー、
and then people get kind of different than
ある
normal.
よな。そう。
Yeah.
やっぱな、どこの国でもどこの家庭でも、なんなんやろな、それこそギバーとテイカーよ。取る人と、ごめんなさい、いろんな方が聞かれてるとはわかるんですけど、なんか、絶対いるよな。とにかく僕は思うのは、どんな時も問題が生じるのは人が欲を出し始めた時やと思うんですよね。だからこの親戚問題もそう、ちょっともうちょっと英語足していきますけど、Yeah, so that happened to me as well. Like, a lot of relatives said, "Oh, that's ours," and then we were literally broke because
Mm,
my mom never said, "Oh, actually, that's ours." That's because that's my dad's property, but you know they took it, and my mom never said that, "Oh, that's ours." And
right.
I didn't like about it at the time because I was saying we should, say that's ours, because that's our right and that's our property. But what she said was, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be greedy. And then, I want to always have, kind of rich mind. I want to have room in my mind and I don't want to get pointed at saying, "Oh, she did it," or "she was a bad person." And I want to be proud of myself. So I don't want it. I can earn by myself and I can, do whatever, by ourselves. So don't say that's ours or something. And when I was younger, I couldn't really agree with that, and I couldn't understand why she did that. But now looking back, I'm proud of my mom
Mm,
because yeah, what she did was kind of good. I'm not
yeah.
sure if it was right or wrong, but it was good. So yeah, and you also experienced that. And my point is, once people start to show their greed, a lot of problems happen, and that'll be related to money.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm, but, what do you think? In general, people get influenced by what we had experienced in the past. then, but in that case, it didn't happen to me. Even though I had a financial hard time, I'm not thinking like that. And what makes the difference? Can you guess
Um, y- what
how
makes the
we
difference
raised?
between
Mm,
how we were raised? Maybe, but
mm,
it's hard to say. Like I had, like I said earlier, I've never really had financial hard times. I've had some minor ones, like
mm,
in 2008 during the financial crash. Actually, before that, my family was doing pretty well. We were maybe on our way to being upper middle class or whatever,
mm,
where we actually had a a lake house, we called it. So like we had a different house, a small one, but on like a
mm,
lake so that we could go in the summer and go swim in the lake and whatever.
mm,
Um, but then in 2008, when the housing market collapsed, we lost that house, and my family was not didn't have as much money. I mean, we were not poor,
mm,
but
mm,
we still had our regular house, but we lost
mm,
we lost our other house. You know what I'm saying? So
mm,
that
mm,
was hard for my parents, I think, at the time, but at the same time, we were safe. That nothing really
mm,
bad was going to happen.
mm,
And when I was an adult, almost an adult, that happened to me in college, where I didn't have any money to spend on myself.
mm, mm,
Right? I remember there was about a month in college when all I ate was potatoes and onions and butter because
mm,
that's what I had money for.
mm,
And I had already asked my parents for money before to help me with food and stuff like that, and I didn't want to ask them again, so I was eating potatoes and onions and butter. But I could pay rent because my parents were helping me pay the rent. I could go to school because I had scholarships and my parents were helping pay for school. So even though it was a financial hard time and I was eating, you know, not good food,
mm.
I
Me
wasn't
too.
I
Mm,
wasn't in real danger. I was gonna keep my
mm,
house, you know.
mm. Me too. So perhaps, we could say, or we could have some room in my mind, in our mind, perhaps some people might say that it was not a, real poor story.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, to you and to me as well. But yeah, like to sum up, I guess people's financial values can be formed or decided by how we raised or how we grew up or um anything else, like how we understand what happiness is or how much we get fulfilled or satisfied with what we have. Um so far, yeah,
I
that's the kind of summary. Mm,
yeah, I mean
mm,
who knows why it happens? I really
mm,
have no idea. You know, probably part of it is how you were raised, part of it is maybe your like genetics, right? I don't know.
yeah,
And
genetic.
part of it
Mm,
is other experiences that you've had in your life.
mm.
Um, yeah,
Okay, can you spell like a collapse and will genetic? Yeah,
collapse
type.
will and genetic. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you wanted to add more?
No, I'm good.
Okay, okay. House market collapsed とかだったかな。
See that? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
なんか言ってた時のそれコラプスはこう、崩壊する、崩れる。なので何かがそう、崩れ落ちる時ですね。あとおばあちゃんのお話の時は will っていうのは遺書ですね。これこれこれって書くやつですね。genetic っていうのは、遺伝子的にもう生まれ持って貪欲みたいな言い方になっちゃうかもですけど、うん。なんかこう、そう、なんか面白いなと思って、僕はね、昨日のその友達との会話でも、お金持ちになりたいって言ってる。でも、その子は別にね、なんか貪欲って感じじゃないんですよ。こう、今仕事が大変で、自分の心に余裕がないから、もっとお金があれば余裕があるんじゃないかっていう、その考えもすごいわかるので、それを聞いたり、あとは日頃やっぱお金ってライリーが最初にも言ってたように、口には出さないけど、いろいろ考えてたり、心の中に見えるものじゃないですか。あ、この人すごいお金のこと考えてるんだろうなっていう人とかって、例えばすごい分かったり、うん、お金じゃなく、 思いでこの人は動いてるんだろうなっていうのもすごい分かったり、なんかこう、僕はそこにすごく人間性が見える一部分だと思うので、今回これを話すとすごい面白いなと思って、さっきエキサイティッドしてるって言ってたんですね。そうで、なんかこう、なんでしょうね。こう、お金をいっぱい欲しいと思うことが決して悪いっていうことではないと思うんですけど、なんか僕は、すごいこう、心に余裕がそれこそないというか、うん、で、それがゆえに人のものを取ってまで自分がお金持ちになりたいと思う人もいるわけじゃないですか。ってなると、なんか僕は貪欲だなって思ったり、あとはやっぱ心の豊かさとか、なんかそこに関係するんじゃないかなってすごい思うんですよね。で、まあ、この話をするかどうかは、ちょっと微妙だったんですけど、さっきのあのお話をしたのは絶対聞いてる方からすると、いやだって貧乏な経験とかしたことないでしょ、あなた。だからそんなこと言えるんですよって言われるだろうなと思って、確かに僕もめちゃくちゃじゃあなんかそこら辺のもう雑草を食べて生きてきたとか、そんな極貧みたいな生活は確かにしたことはないんですけど、すごくやっぱり母親は昔からこう節約節約の人なので、自分はそんな綺麗な服も着ないで昔から着てる服を母親あるあるですよね。なんかもうあの靴下とかでも穴開いてもなんか雑巾にしてみとかっていう、で、言ったら、金銭的に大変だったわけですけど、自分のその権利のものも、いやもうそこまで揉めてまでお金はいらない、もうあげるってする。あるいは誰かの欲しいとか、あるいはもっとこうしてああしたいっていうのが本当にない人で、まあ自分の親に対してもっとこうあってほしいなとか、それこそもっと意見言ってほしいなとかって思う悪い面もあると思うと同時に、一つ尊敬してるとこはすごいそこで、もしかしたら僕は今仕事をしてる上でも、お金お金お金ってなく、なんかこう余裕を持って、そんななんか、なんていうのかな、人と揉めてまでとか、なんかこうガツガツしてまでお金が欲しいと思わないところってなんでだろうって考えたときに、親がいつでもなんかそんな感じでいたからなのかなっていうのも、ちょっとこう、今共有したいなと思いました。まあ、つまり言いたいことが、僕もやっぱり金銭的に大変な時もあったんですけれども、それがあったからといって、お金が必要とはなってないので、そういう経験してないからですよとも言わせないですよっていうところでちょっと今このお話を、足しました。Yeah, so, ちょっと待って、なんか言おうとしたら忘れた。I forgot. But yeah, anyways, what I was saying was that, what I don't really like about my mom is, not saying her opinions. And that's why
Sure.
sometimes, they got us in a kind of danger, financially, financial danger. But
Uh-huh.
at the same time, I'm really proud of her because she is kind of rich in her heart. So how about you? Like when do you think this people's heart is kind of this person's heart is kind of rich? When do you feel so?
That's a
Like
hard.
to me, like I came up and I brought up this topic because I think this is one of the things that makes me feel this person has a rich mind or not. Sometimes people are too greedy and then only thinking about money. I don't think, the person doesn't have room in her or his mind. But how about you? But you don't think like that? Like having room or rich
No,
mind?
I don't
Oh,
think like
really?
that, honestly.
Oh,
No, I
really?
I don't. No. I don't know, but I'm trying to think of people. I have some friends who care more about money than I do. Um, I have some friends who care less about money than I do. Um, but I don't generally think, oh, this person has a rich mind or that I don't know what we would say in English for that. This person is rich in spirit, maybe we would say. I don't tend to think on along those terms so much.
Yeah, like proper words could be room in their mind, mental space. I don't know how
Um,
to,
yeah, we might say that. I
their
don't, mental space, sure.
Yeah. For example, like oh, okay, then yeah, yeah, this one. Like there oh, you also went to the restaurant cafe in Osaka.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I almost every day, drink something there and then doing some computer tasks over there. And
Hmm.
I love her attitude or the way of thinking because
Sure.
she also has, her own business cafe.
Right.
But, she like talked to me saying, "Oh, you know, the profits are not really good." And then
Mm.
my, financial support, friend or somebody said to me, "Oh, for example, you should stop making everything by yourself,
Right.
or like you should cook in the easiest way,
Hmm.
or tezukuri, like a hand home cooked food or something," she
Yeah.
says, and she always does that. But that person said, "Oh, you should stop doing that." And then you can, for example, buy and just add in one process at the end that can be also called homemade stuff or something.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
yeah, she was saying that I don't want to do that because I'm not doing this cafe for business. But realistically, the reality is, she is making less profits. So what should we do? What should I do? She asked me. In your case, what kind of advice would you give?
Um, it's hard. I would probably say something like do what makes you happy, you know? Like it there is a trouble there. I don't know. I really think it makes a difference whether you have kids or not. Do you know does she have a family?
Yeah, she does.
She does. In that case, then it's not really up to her in my mind.
Mm,
It's up to what is best for her kids. So if she can provide for her kids by doing it the way that makes her happy, then she should. If
mm,
she can't, then it's not really up to her and she has to, cut corners,
mm,
buy things from, frozen food or pre-made food and change it a little bit at the restaurant as you said.
mm,
Um, which I know is not good. It makes the cafe a worse cafe in my mind, and it makes it
mm,
less interesting and less appealing for customers, but it would give her more money and then therefore give the kids or kid more money. And it's unfortunate when that kind of thing happens, I think, but I really do think that what is best for you and what is best for your kid are two different things
mm,
sometimes, and the kid comes first in my mind. So even though it would
mm,
be unfortunate for her to have to change the way she runs the cafe, if she has to provide for her family, then she has to.
mm, mm. Yeah, and I brought it up because I just wanted to show the example of having kind of rich mind or mental space. And I think she has, because she was kind of saying like I'm not really interested in making a lot of money, but my
Mm.
friend says, if you're doing your own business, you have to do this and you have to think about efficiency, and then you don't need to care about how happy the customers are. I think, he or that friend should be a kind of real business person. And that's also smart and that's also important. But I think that person only thinks about money. But on the other hand, you know, that person, that cafe owner was saying that I always, every day, want to make my customers happy and I want to make them full with delicious food, hand cooked food,
Right.
and oh yeah, homemade food. And the, most impressive one was that if there is someone like homeless people right in front of my restaurant, and then if she or he is in um hanger
If
hanger
if they're hungry.
oh yeah, yeah, if they are hungry, in my case, I could provide for free, she said. So she's not thinking about money. And I was kind of surprised by her attitude. And I personally love that. So my point is, don't you think she has kind of rich mind? She has room in her mind,
Yeah, to be
giving
honest,
food for free.
I don't know if that expression translates super well into English, but I think that is a very, she's a very kind person to do that, giving food for free and considering her customers and the people that come to her cafe as important is good. And honestly, I wish there were more people like that in the world.
Mm,
I have a kind of similar story. My friend who runs a bar, um, the one that I did the pop up at last year,
mm,
she, this some people might see this as a bad thing. Some people might see it as a good thing.
Oh,
During,
sorry. Can I translate first?
yeah, go
And
ahead. I'll
then,
tell
yeah,
my
yeah.
story after. Yeah.
そう。一回、ちょっと訳したいなと思うんですけどね。なんかね、僕が、次、仕事をね、人それぞれ、みんな、僕も含め皆さんも仕事をしてるじゃないですか。で、なんかやっぱこう、心の余裕、お金、お金、お金ってやっぱなってる人となってない人で、僕はね、心の余裕とか心の豊かさが見えると個人的に思ってるんですね。で、さっきライリーに、ちょっと質問がすごい難しかったんですけど、こう、心の余裕とかってどういう時に見えるみたいな話をしたら、いや、そんな風になんかあんま考えたことがなかったからっていう話で、そこは広がらなかったんですけど、僕はなんか、いろいろありますよ。そのお金だけじゃなくて、考え方、話し方、いろんなところで、心の余裕とか広さは見えると思うんですけど、なんか一個お金の捉え方ですごいなんか、人の余裕とかって違うなと思うんですよね。で、一つは、やっぱお金にすごく、例えばですよ、困ってると、もう余裕がなくてしんどいっていうのもわかりますし、逆にお金めちゃくちゃあるけれども、心に余裕がない、もう人のとってまで貪欲っていう余裕がない人もいるじゃないですか。でもその逆も僕あると思うんですよね。お金全然なくても、人に、はい、食べ、これどうぞ、買ってきたからとかってする、自分いいからっていう、なんか心の豊かさがある人もいれば、お金が、とにかくそういう、本当に心の余裕って、なんかそういうところに僕は見えるなって思うんですよね。で、一つ例としてすごく思うのが、ライリーも今回、僕がディズニー本を作っていたカフェが大阪にあって、今回ワンウェイの新年会でそこでライリーも呼んでみんなでご飯食べたんですよ。で、そこのオーナーさんが僕すごく好きで、ほぼ毎日ドリンク一杯と、こう、パソコン作業しにとか行くんですけど、やっぱり美味しいものを作りたい。で、全部手作りで提供したいと思うので、時間はやっぱかかっちゃったり、やっぱコストもかかって、売り上げが全然出てないらしいんですよね。で、悩み事を結構去年からずっと聞いてて、で、最近結構、深刻な感じで、友達のそういうビジネスを見直すコンサルみたいな人に言ったら、もう手作りって言って全部作るんじゃなくて、出来合いのものでも買ってきて、最後なんか手作りの足せばそれは手作りになるし、なんかもっと効率を考えて、人のためとかじゃなくて、お金をあげるんだったらもっとこうすべき、ああすべきっていう、まあ細かいこと忘れちゃったんですけど、いっぱいあったんですよね。で、その人が言ってたのが、でも私、それをしたいかっていうとそうじゃないんですよね。そこに別に興味はなくてっていうのを聞いたときに、あ、一緒。すごいわかると思って、あの、で、その人が一番言ってて心に響いたのが、私の場合はもう仮に売り上げ出てなくても、前にお腹空いてる人がもしおったらいいよ、もう無料で食べていきって私は言っちゃうんです。だからそういう私は性格だからビジネスがうまくいかなくてっていうお話をしてた時に聞いて、めっちゃわかるその気持ちと思って、自分ももしその立場だったら、もうお金とか関係なく、人が幸せになるんだったら、もうそれしてあげたいってなる、すごいわかるっていうお話をしてたんですよね。で、まあ、ライリーにどんなアドバイスを、彼女にしますかっていうお話をさっきしてたんですけど、皆さんだったらどうしますか？で、僕はまあずっと話を聞いてたのもあったんですけど、今回言ったのは、自分がもうどうしたいかですよねっていうお話だったんですよね。もう、こうしてみたら、ああしてみたらっていうのはずっと言ってたんですけど、結局それはしてなかったので、多分それをしたくないんだろうなと思うんですよね。結局やっぱ自分のやりたいこと をやらないと幸せに感じられないんだろうなって僕もそうなので、すごい分かったので、もう仮に利益がじゃあめちゃくちゃ出なかったとしても、お店が潰れるほどではないんですよねって聞いたら、ギリギリって感じっておっしゃってたので、じゃあもう自分が思う、最高のホスピタリティと自分がやりたいそのことを提供して、人に何て言われようが、お金出てないかったらダメじゃんとかって言われようが、もう放っておいて、自分が幸せにしたい人を幸せにする形でいいんじゃないですかっていうお話をしてたんですよね。で、まあちょっと長くなっちゃいましたけど、話を戻すと、僕はなんかこの人ってすごい心が豊かだなって会話をしてても思って、普通だったら人のことよりも自分の利益って人は考えると思うんですけど、ビジネスとかをしてると、いつもなんか他者に矢印が向いてるんですよね、会話をしてて。で、やっぱこういうお金にガツガツしてない人ってなんか優しくて心に余裕があるよなっていうお話があったので、まあ、さっきああいうお話をしてましたっていう会話をしてました。Sorry, Riley. You can add your story, the cafe staff.
Yeah, so she runs a bar, and near the beginning of COVID, kind of dark, but she one of her friends took her own life, I guess because she was lonely or something
うん、
like that.
うん、
So after that, my friend who runs the bar kept the bar open, even though she wasn't supposed to,
う
right?
ん、
There were kind of rules, not laws, but recommendations, we can say, from the government saying all bars should close at, I forget what it was, 8 o'clock or
うん、
whatever the rule was. Um, but it's kind of a community. People go there to see their friends. And I have people that I see there that I don't see other places, right? If I
うん、
go to that bar, I know that I'll see some people that I know. And so she kept it open throughout the pandemic. And in fact, like uh her her bar was published in the newspaper
うん、
as like one of the places that is not following the rules.
うん、
But she did it kind of, and I'm sure she was losing money. It probably would have been cheaper for her to close the bar for that time and take
うん、
the government support money or whatever.
うん、
But she kept it open because she wanted to have a place for her customers to hang out
うん、
because COVID was a lonely time for a lot of people, and she knew that. Um, but she wanted to do something for them.
う
So
ん、
yeah, kind of similar to the situation with your cafe owner friend,
う
where
ん、
it's like sometimes these people they they run a business. Yes, it's a business, but it's also a place. It's a place for people to see their friends.
うん、
And I really appreciate the business people, the cafe owners, the bar owners that um consider the customers more than their profits.
うん、うん。But in your case too, like at some point you also want to have your own cafe. And, ideally we want to only think about customers. But, the reality it's sometimes, for example, if we lose money too much, we have to close the
Right.
restaurant or yeah,
Well,
stop doing the business. In your
yeah.
case, like how do you think tackle or handle this balance and problem?
Well, look, I mean,
Like, what's your mindset?
yeah,
Sorry.
you have to set priorities. So for me, my priorities would be my family, and
Mm,
then like my family as in like my wife in the
mm,
future and maybe my kid if I have one. Then
mm,
next is my extended family, my parents, my sister, stuff like that. Um, and then friends,
mm,
and then customers or whatever. So
mm,
they don't come first. Obviously, first
mm,
is my family.
mm,
And so because of that, if the restaurant has to close, then that's not good for my family. So
mm,
there is a bare minimum of profit you have to make in order to stay afloat, in order to keep the
うん。
business running.
そうやな。
Um,
う
but
ん、
after that, if after that, yeah, do things for the customer, I think. I would like
うん、
to.
うん。 そこが難しいところよな。まあ、最後も締めくくりの方向に入っていきたいなと思うんですけど、そうだ、cut corners をタイピングしておいてもらえますか？うん、こなんだろうな、手を抜いて手間を省くみたいな、さっきの手作りじゃなくて、もうカットコーナーズにしてっていうところで出てきたやつ、これいい表現だったので、今思い出したので、共有ですね。そう、なんか、難しいですよね。なんか特にビジネスをするっていう立場になった時、なんか僕もそこにね、すごく悩むまではいかないんですけど、僕はもう、どんな時も、もうお金お金って、そこに興味がないので、お金お金にならないって思ってるので、別に悩むほどではないんですけど、なんか考えさせられるなと思うんですよね。で、同じ価値観のやっぱビジネスをしてる人に出会えない。そこが一個僕大きいんですけど、やっぱビジネスをするってなると利益を出していかないといけない。本当にそれはわかるんです。でも僕は思うのは、そんなに、これが今日のテーマですよね。多量の、大量の大金持ちになりたいほどの利益を出す必要ってあるのかっていうのが僕のビジネスの仕方なので、最低限、あるいはちょっと自分が満足するような生活ができたら、僕はそれで幸せなので、でも一方で結構ビジネスを自分でする人って、お金お金お金の人がすごく多くて、で、友達が例えば欲しいなって、経営者にしかわからない考え事とかってやっぱあるので、友達が欲しいなとかと思って、自分で仕事やってるとかっていう人と、ちょっと喋ってみたりしても、みんなやっぱお金なんですよね。話を聞いてると。で、話を戻すと、僕はなんかそこに心の余裕を感じられなくて、すごいなんか、もう1円でも取れるものは取ってやる。人を仮にアンハッピーにしてでも取ってやるぐらいの勢いじゃないとビジネスって成功しない一面もあると僕は思ってるので、そういう人たちを見てると、なんか僕はしんどくなっちゃうんですよね。なんか余裕がないんだろうなっていう。なんだろうな、その余裕がないとかっていうと上から目線になっちゃうかもですけど、僕はなんかそう感じちゃうんですよね。なんか心が豊かじゃないなってすごい思っちゃうんですよね。なのでなんか友達ができなかったりするんですけど、でも今ライリーにも聞いてたのが、ビジネスをするってなった時に、そこも考えていかないといけない現実じゃないですか。なのですごい難しいなって思うんですけど、さっき、カフェのね、オーナーさん、僕があのカフェに毎日通うのは、インスタストーリーにもよく載せると思うんですけど、毎日通うのは、そこが理由で、その人にも言ってたんですよ。僕がこのカフェに来てる理由っていうのは、誰々さんのそういう考え方が好きで、自然とそれを感じてるから僕は来ていて、でそこに同じように共感を持ってきてる人たちもたくさんいるはず。だから、無理にビジネスに寄せていくと、自分がしたいんだったらそれでやってもいいと思うんですけど、離れる人も絶対いるでしょうし、本当にそれが自分のやりたいことなんですかと、本当に目の前の人を幸せにしたいって思うのであれば、そのやり方を通して突き進めばいいんじゃないですかってさっき言ってたところにたどり着くんですけど、なんか僕は自分の今のお仕事をしていても、さっきからちょこちょこ出てますけど、もっとなんかお金儲けしようっていう形にしようと思ったら何でもできると思うんですよね。例えば、だからそういう経営者とかの友達と話すと、そんなレッスンなんて毎晩毎晩、時間取って1000でも8人とかしかね、上限がありますから、8人にしか直接教えられないってなるから、もうビデオで撮って、そこにお金払ってもらって、もう何百人何千人って見てもらうようにしたらいいやんとか、あとはイベントもそうですよね。3時間のイベント、来られへん人にもお金払ってもらって見れるようにしたらそれでお金儲けできるやんとか、あるいはプロモーションもそうですけど、あとは何でもそうです。結構依頼来るときにこれをやってもらうとこんだけお金が入るのでとかっていうやっぱアプローチをされるんですよね。でも担当者の人とかそういう友達とかに僕いつも言うのが、本当にそこに興味がなくて、お金が欲しいから仕事をやりたいっていう選択肢は僕の中でないので、そういうお仕事は別にいらないですって。例えば言ったり、レッスンもそうですよね。あるいはイベントもそうですよね。なんか、そこよりも、もっと得るものがあると思うんですよね。例えば、人への優しさだったり、人への思い、それをしていることで、いい人と巡り会えたりとか、なんか僕の価値観っていうのはそういうところかな、ライリーの価値観も多分そうだと思うんですけど、そういうところかなと思うので、なんかこのお話からちょっといろんな方に、なんでしょうね、一視点として考えていただけたら嬉しいなと思います。That's our financial values. はい、今日のエピソードは、
いかがでしたでしょうか？
like sometimes my friend says like you are doing lessons every night only for 8 people, that's the maximum, so you can take one video then you can, make people subscribe to it. Then 100 or 1,000 people can watch it and you can earn money. Or for example, events we did last year, like we can sell the 3.5-hour video and we can earn money.
Right.
Sometimes people say that, but I'm not interested in that and I don't want to do that because my priority is always, for example, the quality or my passion or my mission. And in return, I think kind people or good meeting with good people, can follow or can be with me. That's my, financial values in short. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, I getcha.
What's your financial value in short, in one sentence?
Okay. In one sentence, I want enough money to provide for my family and enough money to live a comfortable lifestyle for me, and anything extra is a bonus but not necessary.
なるほど。っていうのが、はい、いい締めくくりになったかわかんないですけど、ファイナンシャルバリューズからね、それないようにちゃんと締めくくれてたか心配なんですけど、僕たちのこれがお金の価値観かなと思うので、皆さんどうですか？どんなファイナンシャルバリューズをお持ちですか？で、僕たちの価値観はこうだからこそ、お金を稼ぐことがいけないことみたいにね、聞こえちゃうかもしれないんですけど、なんでしょうね。稼ぎたい人は稼いだらいいと思うんですよ。なので、そこを悪として捉えないでいただきたいなと思うんですよね。ただ僕は、もうお金に溺れてる人、もうお金のことしか考えてないなっていうところは、ちょっとなくした方が、自分の幸せにもつながるんじゃないかなとも思うのと、一僕たちのこの視点を捉えていただくことで、いろんな方がお金って密接にね、僕たちの生活に関係してますから、今の現状で幸せって感じようって思ってもらえたり、ハッピーな連鎖につながるとすごく嬉しいなと思ってます。I think the longest episode ever, perhaps?
Maybe. Yeah.
You're
I
getting
don't know if
sleepy
that's
and
true,
tired?
but-
Are you okay?
I'm fine. I could go
You're
for another
okay.
one. You want to do another one?
Okay. Okay, let's do it. はい、ね。もう一個やれるくらい、まだまだ喋れる感じでしたけど、すごく、やっぱり面白いエピソードになったなと思うので、いろんな方に楽しんでいただけてると嬉しいなと思います。では、また次回のエピソードでお会いしましょう。
Bye.
Bye.